Hey there, buddies. It's Concert Buddy. This video coming up, I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet. I say that every video and it doesn't seem to go that way. But for real this time, I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet. Show you some pickups that I've made and a renewed focus I'd like to talk about when it comes to my collecting in terms of quality over quantity. So, cue the lever and I'll see you in a bit. So first things first, last weekend hit a YouTube milestone and passed the 100 subs threshold. And on the surface, 100 subs compared to some other folks in the VC, small potatoes. But to this red potato, I really do appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel up to this point. Thank you so much. If you're a new subscriber, thank you so much. This is kind of like a labor of love. And I don't know what'll come of it in the future, but I'm happy that people are watching and subscribing and really trying to help the channel grow, because that's important to me. It helps keep me engaged, refuels my cup every week when I'm thinking about making a video, what it's going to be, editing, and all that stuff. So I really appreciate everyone who subscribes and everyone who's watched up to this point. So now that that housekeeping's out of the way, in the open, I was talking about quality over quantity. It's something I've been kind of wrestling with the last, couple months in terms of, am I bringing in good stuff into my collection? And that's not to say I've been bringing in bad stuff. It's just more of, where's my focus? And a lot of this lies internally in terms of running out of space. Here in the spin center, it's getting a little tight, so I need to be a little bit conscious of that. But also, I believe it was Melinda Murphy put out a video weeks and weeks ago that really kind of resonated with me, because there's a lot of things I was thinking about in terms of a focus, right? That was the word I really took from it, because a focus on your collection and what you're doing with it, and going to the record store is a lot of fun, and buying records is definitely a lot of fun, but are you buying things that you're going to listen to? Are you buying things that mean something to you, or buying things that you really want to add to your collection? And so from that point, I've really kind of tried to make a focus on what are the things I'm focusing on with my collection. So one thing is I'm really trying to get back to the hard to find pieces, the things that unfortunately cost a touch more than, is easy to spend sometimes. But when I really thought about it relative to Melinda's video and her comment, if you're going to the record store and spending 20, 30, whatever you're spending on just some records you may be interested in, maybe don't do that as often, and you can kind of save that money and buy the grails, the bigger pieces you're looking for. Fortunately, I've knocked a lot of grails off my list over the years, but there's still things that, I'm trying to get into. One area of focus for me is 90s records made in the 90s. They might have been released in the 90s, definitely made in the 90s, that sort of thing, right? Because that was kind of when I came up in my teenage to early adolescent years.
This is how we do it! Da, 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 da.
All that said, those records aren't exactly cheap, and it's not that I'm looking to spend crazy money on records, but I think if you're more disciplined and can really quit buying the cheapies and the smalls and kind of just be more measured in what you're buying, I think it's not a lot, it's not as hard as you may think, right? So that's where my quality over quantity focus is really lying. So the last couple weeks, rather than go out and just buy a bunch of odds and ends and good deals and go to some of my online retailers and just buy stuff because it's cheap and to give it a try. Not to say that music exploration is going to stop. It's just for right now, I'm really focused on getting some of these early 90s pieces, because the fact is they're just going to keep escalating in price. So let me show you some of the stuff I picked up recently.
Go ahead. Hit me.
So the first record I got a couple weeks ago was Depeche Mode Violator. This recently got a reissue, I want to say maybe 2 or 3 months ago. And that reissue is kind of also what spurred some of this, because I listened to it and it was nice, it sounded okay, but a lot of times the mastering is just not as great as it was when these were made. So that also kind of inspired me to get to this renewed focus, if you will. And so I wanted an OG pressing, and this isn't easy to track down, to be honest with you. If you look on Discogs, you can find it here and there, but obviously people know that this is a pretty penny. So fortunately, a record store I've talked about on the channel before, based in Chicago, called Dusty Groove. I'm on there pretty often. Did have a nice copy that came in. They said it was near mint and great quality. The outer, no ring wear, particularly when you have black records like this or dark colored outer jackets like this, you can get ring wear pretty easily, but you're talking 1991 on this record. Comes on Reprise label. Sounds terrific. I think I even put on my Instagram just a piece of this, but this quality is well worth the wait in the sense that it definitely sounds better than the reissue. And again, I'm not taking a giant shit on the reissue. It's nice, but again, it goes back to my focus of I really want the best of the best if I can get it and if I can afford it, right, within reason. So Depeche Mode Violator OG copy, US pressing. This is not the UK pressing, but it sounds terrific. Really excited to add this to the collection and cross it off the list.
Well, that hit the spot.
All right, so the next record I picked up was one that has been on my want list for over 5 years, probably longer. I think if you're like me, you follow certain records on Discogs, and then sometimes you can add like a super duper sub list, if you will, of grails, call it what you want. So an OG pressing of Green Day Dookie has been on my list for the longest time. One, from a sound quality, kind of what I was talking about before, is usually these OGs sound the best. But two, if you know, or if you're in the know, you know that when this record was released originally, like when I had the original CD back in the day, this had this back cover had, I guess from a concert they did, this Ernie from Sesame Street in the crowd, right? Well, when this came out, and obviously there's some cuss words in here, and Green Day is not exactly the most family-friendly band. They ran into some opposition from the folks behind Sesame Street, and so they asked them to pull that for copyright and so forth. So subsequent releases of this record do not have the Ernie. So that's, again, these are the little minutiae of collecting that you kind of learn and understand why these things have escalated values.
Wow.
Sound quality, top notch. This has been re-released a couple times, I think even on like a brown vinyl, hence the Dookie tie-in there, Innuendo. I think you can even find it online right now as part of a reissue, just like the Depeche Mode Violator. But this is one that's been hard to track down, honestly, since it's been on my want list on Discogs. I've seen it come up in the States a handful of times, and again, the prices keep going up and up and up. So this is one of those ones where it's like you need to focus, and if you really want it, don't keep getting cheapies at your local record store a couple weeks, and just put those pennies towards this. So I was very happy to purchase this.
I got bronchitis.
All right, so this was one of the bigger whales that I've been trying to get for a long time, and I'm kicking myself because a few years ago at the record show, I did see this. This is a Pearl Jam 10 original pressing. This record actually came out, it was released in 1991, but for some reason they didn't do it on vinyl until like 94. I don't know why. If you know why in the comments, please let me know, because I couldn't find anything about it online as to why there was a 3-year gap before putting this on vinyl. Anyway, a couple years ago, I saw this at a record show, and it was $80, and I knew that was about the going rate on Discogs, so it wasn't priced too far off, but at $80, particularly at your record show, can go a long way toward getting a lot of records. And I think at that point, I was more focused on assimilating a larger collection of good records, and if you can find the great records that you're after, so be it, but within reason, right? So $80 back then seemed like a lot. I can tell you I've been kicking myself almost every day since then, because this record, just like the other ones I've shown, continues to just go up and up in price. And so at some point you have to level it yourself and say, are you going to focus, and are you going to really lock down and really buy it or not buy it? And they re-released this a couple times. I think there was a reissue that came out like a year before last. I think they had a Target Purple exclusive that sounded okay, but wasn't optimally exactly what I've been looking for. And I think all the other Pearl Jam releases, OGs, except this one. This is the one that's been evading me for the longest time. Comes on this, you know, nice Pearl Jam. I think Epic was the label they were on there. So anyway, finally found a copy at a, let's call it, reasonable price. Wasn't cheap, but it wasn't super expensive, particularly as I've been seeing the price continue to escalate. Shop out of Portland. Shipped it to me. Fantastic. Sounds great. Oddly enough, my terrific wife had heard me talk about seeing a copy recently in a local store that was pretty expensive. And for my birthday, unbeknownst to me until my birthday, she went out and actually got that copy. So I love her to death. It was such a sweet gesture, and she had no idea I'd actually picked this up, because this literally doesn't come up too often on Discogs. And when it does, it's usually a couple $100 or more. I found it below that, so I knew it was a good time to strike. So anyway, love my wife. She did a great job getting this record, and I'm happy to add it to my collection 2 times now. So tell me, guys, in your collecting journey, where are you at? Are you just accumulating? Are you going after the things that have an emotional attachment, sentimental attachment, financial attachment, what have you? I'd be curious to hear what you have to say, and if you get the chance, till next time, just spin it. I'll see you later.
Well, well, well. How the turntables...
Well, we out of time.